You talk to people and they're content. They're like, oh, I'm happy with what I've got. I'm like, why? Because there's people who have a whole bunch more than you. And I was never content having a normal life. I wanted an exceptional life. I didn't want a normal car, a normal house, a normal girlfriend. I didn't want none of that. I was like, no, 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 no. There's dudes out here that have the best. Why do they deserve the best and I don't deserve the best? I really believe that. And this is something I've always had inside me. I just didn't understand why I couldn't have the best stuff.
The wealthy upbringing, we came from a very poor upbringing. When we moved to England, we were in a homeless shelter for the first year as we were trying to find council housing in a single mother council estate. Yeah. Every excuse everyone else has got to be a criminal asshole, and I'm not. Yeah. So, you know, and people go, oh, you're lucky you could kickbox. Listen, getting up and running to this gym because my mum didn't have a car and couldn't afford the bus, and running 4 miles, training, then running 4 miles home is not luck. You could have done that and didn't want to. So, you know, people may meet barriers, but if you genuinely apply yourself,
nobody, absolutely nobody, gives a fuck about you as much as you're going to have to give a fuck about yourself. Nobody cares about you as much as they need to care to fix your life. Even your parents, even your friends, even all the people who think they care about you, they care about you, yeah, sure, there may be 2 or 3 people on the planet who genuinely care about you, but nobody is going to come to your bed, drag you out of bed, drag you to a job, force you to work hard, go and get you a hot bit and go and buy you a Ferrari. Nobody is going to do that for you. You are never going to have any of the things you want if you do not get them yourself. Nobody cares about you enough to do it for you. This is absolutely true.
Because when you've come from the absolute bottom to the absolute top, and you've done it all off of your own back, and hard work and dedication, and never missing a day, the only shortcut to life is to never miss a day. 1, because of compounding interest, and 2, because sometimes you get lucky. And you'll never miss a lucky day if you try every day. If you don't try every day, you might miss your lucky day. And that's what people don't understand. If you never miss a day and you never don't try and you're always on time, was I late today? No, on time, and you try and improve every aspect of your life, and you're a professional, and you try and make sure that you analyze your decisions, give yourself feedback, you don't make mistakes, you're not lazy. If you try and you make it to the top, you end up elitist, because you look at the people down below and you're like, well, why didn't you try? I did. Oh, I did too. No, you didn't. That's a lie.
We were very, very poor. Me, my mother, and my brother, when we moved to England, we grew up in a homeless hostel. So I grew up at the very end of the socioeconomic ladder. I had a worse start than 99% of people. But I lived my life when I was poor, furious at the fact I was poor. Because my ego, and I'll be honest, my ego is at a point where I didn't understand how other people can afford Ferraris and I can't. I would be 18, walk into college, and a Ferrari would break past, and it would ruin my week. And everyone would be like, what's wrong with you? I'd be like, don't you see, this fat fuck can buy a Ferrari and I can't. Why? He's not a better man, he's not a better person than me. I'm just as good as him, if not better. I couldn't stand the fact that there were people who could do things I couldn't. So this gave me unlimited motivation to get rich. Now I found a way to get rich, and I believe that anyone who really, really, truly wants to get rich will get rich, one way or another.
I always knew the answer to everything is raw action.
Yeah.
The answer to everything has always been raw action. My dad had a tweet about this. He said that raw action solves all. And he used to say this. I'll give you an example. If you're a farmer and you need rain for your crop and there's no rain, you can sit there and say there's no rain, we're all going to starve. Or you can stand up and do a rain dance. Now, will your rain dance work? Perhaps not. Perhaps the rain won't come. But I would argue that you're better off standing up doing that rain dance than just sitting there waiting to die. You have to do something. Raw action solves. So when I was broke, I was never like, I'm poor, what do I do? It was, I'm poor, I have to do something. If I was broke, I'd go for a run. That's why I was such a great fighter. If I was broke, I'd sit there and go, I'm actually poor. How do I make money? Dunno. Where can I get some cash? Dunno. What work can I do? Dunno. I'll just go for a run then. And I'd just go for a 3-mile run.
And you just sit there and realize, whoa. I have a few years of consciousness, and even less than that, I have a few short years as a young man, because age will damage you. If you're a millionaire in your 60s, it's not nearly as good as being a millionaire at my age. I became a millionaire at 28. So you need to realize you've got a few short years as a young man, you're wasting it.
What's the definition of a loser?
I think the universe is absolutely and utterly giving. I've never seen anybody dedicate themselves to something completely and fail. I've never seen somebody eat right, go to the gym every day, train really hard and not be in good shape. I've literally never seen it. The universe is extremely giving. If you actually try and you actually want it, and you're actually not making excuses, lying, talking shit, you're gonna get what you want. So when I see people who don't have what they want, I consider them losers. And this may be elitist, I understand that. But if I put myself through endless pain to end up where I am, it's very hard for me to have sympathy on the man who's great pain. You're avoiding pain. I've been through endless. I now have everything I've ever desired. You have none of the things you desire. Am I supposed to feel sorry for you? Did you lay out? Am I supposed to look at you and go, oh, poor dude? No. You were a fucking coward. You didn't go through the shit I went through. You didn't put it on the line. So you deserve your substandard reality. That's what you deserve. You're a fucking loser. Because if you actually wanted it, and you actually tried, you wanted it. You can have anything you want. Universe is super giving. You want a fucking Ferrari, you can have it. You want that bitch, you can have her. You can have anything you want on the planet. There's not a girl I look at that I want that I can't have. Not one. That's my reality. There's not a car I can't have. There's not a house I can't buy. If I want to go to a yacht, if I want to go to Antarctica, there's nothing I can't have at bang. Because I've decided to become this man. It's the same for absolutely every single one of you at home. If you want it, you can have it. If you're sitting there saying, oh, but I tried my best and I still didn't get it, you're lying. You didn't try your best. That is a fucking lie. The universe gives it to everybody who genuinely tries.
What's the main thing that you want to get across to the world?
My main message is to resist the slave market. So I feel it all the time. To understand that every single thing you're being told is the agenda behind it, you're being told otherwise. To examine every strongly held belief you have and try to identify where it comes from and why you have it. I sit and argue with people, I discuss things with people, and they so fervently believe a point. And I say, why do you believe that so much? Like, do you have personal experience? No, but I saw the news. Why do you believe? The news told you X, and now you are desperate. You will sit here for hours arguing that point. A lot of people are completely empty vessels ready to be programmed. And I'm trying to tell people, listen, just stop for a second and understand that the things they're telling you to believe are not necessarily for the benefit. The people who make the rules don't make the rules for the benefit of everybody. They make the rules for the benefit of the people who make the rules. Yeah. So, telling people to resist the slave mind and just be critical thinkers, keep their brain open, pay attention to things, be perspicacious, that's the general theme. And it doesn't matter whether you're left, right, liberal, man, woman, etc. Just think for yourself. I always knew the answer to everything is raw action.
Yeah.
The answer to everything has always been raw action. My dad had a tweet about this. He said that raw action solves all. And he used to say this. I'll give you an example. If you're a farmer and you need rain for your crop and there's no rain, you can sit there and say there's no rain and we're all going to starve. Or you can stand up and do a rain dance. Now, will your rain dance work? Perhaps not. Perhaps the rain won't come. But I would argue that you're better off standing up doing that rain dance than just sitting there waiting to die. You have to do something. Raw action solves. So when I was broke, I was never like, I'm poor, what do I do? It was, I'm poor, I have to do something. If I was broke, I'd go for a run. That's why I was such a great fighter. If I was broke, I'd sit there and go, I'm actually poor. How do I make money? Don't know. Where can I get some cash? Don't know. What work can I do? Don't know. Oh, let's go for a run then. And I'd just go for a 3-mile run. Or go hit the punch bag and get better.
That resonates so deeply, man. This is exactly what I do.
That's exactly. You just have to say, well, I have to do something. I can't just sit still and die. A lot of people are happy to just sit still and die or jerk off and go to sleep and take a nap. Well, if that's what you want to do, then you can say a loser. That's fine. I'm glad there are losers, because if everyone had Lamborghinis, my Lamborghini wouldn't be fun to show off. I need you to look at it and feel the deep pain in your heart of regret and failure. That's the whole point of it. I need to drive my Bugatti and everyone be looking at it going, I'll never have one of those. I can get all their energy and feel it all, and it makes me happy. Fantastic. So you can sit at home and do nothing, but when I was poor, I had to go for a run. I couldn't sit still or lift weights or do something. I couldn't even sleep. So raw action solves everything. I understood that at a young age. But as you get older, you get to look back and you get to put your whole story together, the whole tapestry together. I knew I wouldn't say poor. Did I ever think I'd get this rich? Well, I never said I wouldn't, but did I ever think it would probably happen at this level? No. But it's amazing how the compounding interest of just endless raw action adds up. I've never had a lazy day. I've never skipped work. I've never missed an email. Never had a day off. Ever. You were to go through the last 3 years of my life, you will see that there's never been a day where I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. And all of this adds up, and then monumental success comes, and you can laugh at everybody else, ha ha ha, and life's great. But I really believe God's given me one of the best lives, and I can't complain about anything bad that's happened. It's all been fantastic.
And the majority of people are losers. And this goes back to why, when we were saying earlier, how I know the elites view us. Because I'm from a council of state and losers, single parent household. And I've only been rich 10 years or so. And I despise losers. So imagine you're a billionaire born into a family, a lineage that control wealth for hundreds of years. Imagine how much they despise us. Do you think they give a fuck about putting a bullet in me? Do you think they're gonna have any sleep at night, miss? Do you think they give a solitary fuck about you missing your fucking parents' funeral because you're common cold? They don't give a solitary shit. Why would they? Because I don't even know how I feel when I listen to losers complain. Because this is what happens at a certain level of competence and power. You just get to a point where you're like, I'm tired of hearing your fucking excuses. That's bullshit. And you become to a degree, yeah, cold and psychopathic. It's true. That's what happens. And I get it all the time. I get thousands of emails a day. Everyone I grew up with, people I know, I get it all the time. They'll message me, hey man, you know, just unlucky. You are not unlucky. You are a lazy fucking loser. That's you are not unlucky. You're breathing. You're lucky. The unlucky ones are gone. You're alive. Or a lazy loser. So a loser is anybody who does not have everything they want at the drop of a hat. That's what I call a loser. Because I have absolutely everything I could ever possibly desire. If I wanted something that I couldn't have, I guarantee you can speak to them in a few months. It's interesting you say that because I have been saying, and nobody can understand, I said money's not real. What do you mean money's not real? It's not real. Money's not real. Numbers on the screen, it's not a real thing. And once you start putting systems in place that generate huge sums of money, and once you get to the point where money basically has no value, I can go buy a Ferrari today, and my bank balance will look like this. Money isn't real. It's just numbers. It's all fucking invented. It's printed from the sky. It's garbage. You just have to find a way to make people understand your value, and yeah, it can disappear from absolutely nowhere. And I went from completely broke to hundreds of millions of dollars. And I know what you're saying in regards to this other world, because there is a subset to humanity. It's kind of strange. When I was broke, when I was on the Council of State and Movement, I thought everyone was poor. And now that I have money, it kind of feels like everyone's rich. I go to buy a plane and they're like, no, it's sold out. But you fucking sold out planes? I go to buy a Bugatti and it's sold out. I'm like, all the shit, do all these people. Yeah, everyone's bought everything. Yeah. And it's crazy how many people out there have such ridiculous sums of money. Truly ridiculous sums of money. There are so many rich people in the world, and it's kind of like your reality is based off. It's the Matrix, right? If you're broke, everyone's broke. If you're rich, everyone's rich. And a lot of people have this separation. I was lucky to live in both worlds, but a lot of people have this separation. Strong body, strong mind. Secondly, there's a lot of discipline required in fitness, and discipline can be applied universally to all things. Discipline is a skill you can pull out of your pocket and apply to anything. You can force yourself to do something you don't want to do because you're disciplined, not because you're motivated, like you said earlier on, not because you feel like doing it, not because you're supposed to do it. Thirdly, this is something that not many other people say, so I'm going to say it. There is a unspoken rule amongst men, and I remember a few weeks ago, maybe a few months ago, there were women on Twitter or women on the internet saying, when men meet, do they always think about the possibility of violence? Does that cross their mind? And they were surprised by that fact. That if men we met for a podcast, but if you meet men in an unfriendly scenario where you don't know who they are, for a fraction of your second, you're thinking, can I win this fight? Are they going to attack me? It crosses our minds. We live in a very physical realm. Any man who doesn't has been polluted by the Matrix and will never be competitive and is doomed to fail. But if you're truly competitive, like you should be as a man, it always crosses your mind. Then one of the important things about physical fitness that most people never talk about, never say, is men treat you different when they know that you've been hard to work. Life treats you different. Women certainly do. That's an obvious one, right? Women like muscly guys because muscly guys can fight. Obviously that's not the case, but that's how they look dangerous, right? But men also treat you different, which means society as a whole treats you different. I would argue that if you wanted to run any kind of company, or even do sales or do anything else, let's go back to sales. Let's talk about what we're doing. A lot of the
sell windows and I came in fantastic physical condition, the person who's buying from me, one, knows I'm disciplined, and two, knows I'm diligent. That's going to be some massive advantages from my sales perspective. Right. But also, I would argue that men are happy to look up to somebody who's physically strong in a different regard. I think it would be difficult for you to be a true leader unless you showed some degree of physical prowess. I think that's just the way the world has always worked on a deep level. When a man looks at a guy who's 6'8" and jacked, and he says, we're going to go into battle, you're more motivated to go into battle beside him because he's 6'8" and jacked. You feel like you're going to win. You like the idea of being led by a warrior. Right. So there's that huge element to it as well. And the final part of it all is that it's so much easier to keep something than it is to gain something. And once you're in good physical shape, it's actually so easy to maintain as opposed to ever get there. It's so hard to get there that if you ever get there, you may as well just keep it. Right. It's because it's so easy to keep as opposed to lose. And I think it's in today's world, it's also a huge status symbol because we live in a world now where most things can be bought. You can buy Instagram followers and you can hire a Lambo and you can buy a hot chick to stand next to you, but you can't yet buy perfect physical condition. That is showing the world that you did it. One rep at a time to earn it. You have to earn it. And it's one of the few things left that has to be earned the hard way that you can't buy, which I think is also very important. We can also continue to answer this question because you're going to feel different. You feel different as a man when you know you can, and I'm a peaceful man, but when you know if things happen or if someone tried to hurt the woman next to you, you could destroy the man in front of you. You feel different. There's an aura that people can smell. The woman can smell it, predators can smell it. Maybe perhaps if I was built differently, I would have been treated differently in jail. But everybody looked at me and they knew who I was and they thought, that's messy. Fine. It's just how humans work, right? And it's just how the whole universe works. It's how the animal kingdom works. Even lions and tigers, as fearsome as they are, go for the weakest animals. They don't want hard fight. They just want to eat, right? Even mating partners. Yeah. 100%. So society is the same. I'm sure there's scenarios in my life where I've walked down the street and I've been left alone, and the person who walked behind after me a few seconds later, because he wasn't built like I was the one who got mugged. I'm sure that's happened at some point in my life. But I'm the hard target. And I like feeling like the hard target, and I think that I approach life differently knowing I'm the hard target. I think you should go through life with respect. Yeah. I think one of the biggest problems we have in the world today is too many people have just become comfortable with being idiots. You talk about rage bait. Yeah. 99% of streamers are idiots. They're running around insulting and abusing and pranking innocent people and playing stupid games and insulting people they don't know. I don't find any of that funny. I don't think any of that's appealing in any way. When I see these idiot streamers running up to innocent people and scaring them or insulting other people they don't know for views or all of these kind of things, I think it's extremely infantile. And I think that not too long ago in the world it would get you hurt. And I go through the world with respect as much as possible. I try not to disrespect people because I understand where I'm from. If you disrespect people, real bad things can happen. So I'm not the kind of person who would sit on Twitter and just insult random people. I think that's stupid. Even if they can't find me, even if they can't get to me, even if they don't have the capability, I think God himself is watching, and I don't think God likes people to do that. I think they can pay the price one way or another. You're going to go through life and be that kind of person. You should be respectful to everybody. I'd be respectful right up to the point I hit somebody in the face. Why wouldn't I? That's just how I am as a person. So I think being respectful is extremely important. I think it's what the world is. I think it's especially with the crypto communities. Interesting. I think the entire world is missing respect. I think there's a lot of people with a few followers and a big mouth who, perhaps because they live in a failed state like California and they live in a failed city like LA, they just go through life and they do a bit of drugs and their friends do a bit of drugs. I don't do drugs. Everyone just talks constant shit and nobody has any honor or respect anymore. And there's crack addicts everywhere. And houses get robbed and rappers get shot. And nothing matters if you just run your mouth, right? But if you live in other areas of the world, if you lived in Moscow or Bucharest and you were the kind of person who just talk shit on Twitter, you pay the price for it. You have to be a lot more careful in other places. I have a lot of guys ask me, similar to your question, a guy will come to me and go, how do I get a girl? My brother, you're a loser. Yeah, but I know, but how do I get the girl? Well, you're a fucking loser. You're a loser. Why are you asking me? It's like saying, how do I win a race with a push bike? You're racing Ferraris. What do you want me to do? Yeah. There's only so much you can do. It's only so hard you can pedal. There's only so many tricks and tips. There's only so many game things you can say, so many pickup lines. If you're a loser, it's going to be very, very difficult, and it's going to get harder and harder. The game is rigged to become harder and harder for men. It's not getting easier. It's going the other way. if you're going to be on a racetrack and there's going to be Ferraris there, and you're going to be on a pedal bike or in a Nissan, you're going to get smoked. That's the game. You have to up yourself. You have to improve yourself. I'm not going to lie to anybody here and say you don't have to improve yourself. You could stay a loser and get chicks, because you can't. Yeah. You can't. I've never met somebody with a fantastic life who did not completely and utterly believe in themselves. I've never seen somebody massively succeed and they didn't believe in themselves, ever. I've never seen somebody who just allows life to happen to them and become blown off course by something, sadness, end up doing massively monumental and important things. I've never seen it. And if she leaves me afterwards, let's say she just likes to live then, I don't care. I'm still working. You're still crying. You can't possibly ever beat me. I'll continue to beat you into eternity, as will my bloodline. You will sit and pay the price for the rest of your human years. Even your ancestors above you are disappointed in you, and your offspring for the rest of your lineage will look up and say, my great-great-great-grandfather was a loser because I broke his heart, and now we've been broke ever since. Yeah. I wake up every day and I think, how do I make my life better? Nobody else wakes up each day and goes, how do I make Andrew Tate's life better? So if you're not the person who's waking up every day going, how do I improve my existence? Then nobody is. Nobody on the planet is considering improving your one on earth. No one else cares. Nobody else cares. So if you don't care, then you're fucked. So you need to wake up and care. And it's amazing to me, like you're saying, how did I find my mentors? I just tried a bunch of them. Like when I had no money, I would try very hard. I'd listen to lots of different people, or I'd try different things, and I wasn't scared to invest in myself, because I understand that, look, if he's taking time out of his life, I need to reward him for every action. And I tried very hard, and I listened, and I paid attention, and I was never lazy. I don't believe there's a person on the planet who pays attention, tries their best, is never lazy, is on time, works hard, has a mentor, and is giving it his all, who isn't rich. I don't believe it. I think that if you do all those things, you're rich. And if you don't have any money, you're missing one of those key elements. Now you can fool yourself, and you can fool everyone else, and you can pretend you're doing them, but if you're truly honest with yourself, am I finding people who are trying to teach me what I want to know, and am I trying my best? And the answer's fucking no, every time.
Just even being around people with money, it's just a good place to be. I'll give you an example. I was in Romania, and I have the largest car collection probably in Romania. I have 28 supercars, everything you name. And I went to a town called Cluj-Napoca. It's on the border of Hungary. And I drove there in my Chiron, and I parked up, and a kid came up, and he said, hey, can I take some photos of your car? I have a car spotting page. I said, sure, whatever, cool. And he goes, yeah, okay, I'll just be a few minutes for this. He took a bunch of photos, and he come up to me and said, do you want photos? And I was like, not really, I already have photos. And he goes, oh yeah, okay, well, if you want them, here's my email address. And I said to him, why do you do this? Like, you spend all day standing around taking photos of other people's cars. Is that not a waste of time? I thought it was a waste of time, but I was wrong. He goes, oh, well, I skipped school and I skipped college because I knew if I take pictures of expensive cars and email them to people, I'll have email addresses of the richest people in Romania. Yeah, smart. I was like, you're clever. I ended up hiring him. He works for me now. Yeah. I was like, you know, I like you. He got a full-time job that day. So he understood. Be near the money. I have no money. Money's over there. Well, let me get closer to it. Nobody's staying over here on my fucking own. Let me at least get closer to it. That was a 17-year-old kid. Now he's making 10 grand a month in Romania for me. So like, at least being closer to it. So that you're right. People should, even if they haven't got a penny in the world, should be going to these meetings about real estate, about investing, that especially if it's cheap, they should go. Just meet other people who at least have money. Have conversations about money. Talk about it. How are you going to get what you don't talk about?
I will say this, because I say it in every single podcast. If they lock me up for some insane bullshit, the Matrix has attacked me. If I carry on the trajectory I'm carrying on, they're going to put me in jail. Because I'm too influential. For the people watching at home, they just need to sit and understand that the system does not make rules for the good of you. It makes rules for the good of the people who make the rules. And a lot of the life paths laid out to the average man.
If you don't know, I don't know.